to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So first item on the agenda this evening is public comments. This would be the time that you would come forth and make a comment, preferably something that's not on the agenda. So if you'd like to do that now, just come up, give us your name and which city you reside in and where you reside, and your comment, please. Anyone here for public comments? If we go along throughout the agenda and someone wants to speak to something, you'll be more than welcome to, okay? All right. Next item on the agenda is oath of office, and I believe Nicole's going to handle that.
Thank you. Welcome to our newest council member. Tonight we're going to walk through the oath of office. So I'm going to ask that you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Sarah Peter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the United States of America
and of the State of Oregon
and of the State of Oregon
and the city charter and ordinances
and the city charter and ordinances
of the city of Coos Bay,
of the city of Coos Bay,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully and lawfully perform the duties of counselor
faithfully and lawfully perform the duties of counselor
for the city of Coos Bay
for the city of Coos Bay
during my continuance therein,
during my continuance therein.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Well, welcome officially, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, first item on the agenda this evening after that is consent calendar. How would you like to proceed on this consent calendar? And anything can be brought down by any counselor for your information, Sarah. So if you want to bring something down for discussion, that's more than at your pleasure.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as submitted. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item on the agenda is election of council president. And in your packet, it states that the council president will be the one that fills in if I'm not able to or miss a meeting and need someone to do that. I would like to recommend Rob Miles for that position. It also says that a ballot is what would be done, but I'm hopefully, if Rob's the only one, we can suspend the council rules and not do a ballot. We can just go ahead and make a motion and accept Rob as the council president. So with that, how would you like to proceed?
I'll make a motion to accept Councilor Miles as president.
Second.
Can we also say that we'll be willing to suspend the council rules in that motion?
And we will be willing to suspend council rules.
On this item?
Second.
Second, okay. Any other nominees? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Rob, thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. You
Hope
hope
you know you can't miss a meeting.
All right. Yeah, I won't be here the next month, but no, I'm kidding. All right, so here we go. Consideration of appointment to the homeless work group. Roger?
Yes, the council established the homeless work group back in 2017, and at that time you appointed 18 members. It has changed over the years from time to time. Most recently, we received a request from the Coastal Indian tribe to appoint Allison Severson as their representative. Also, I had heard from Councilor Comer that she had spoken with Representative Boomer Wright. As you may recall, the former representative, Patty McEwen, served on that committee. He is interested in serving as well. So if it pleases the council, I've asked you to go ahead and ratify Allison's appointment as well as Representative Boomer Wright.
Roger, forgive me, is it Allison or Alyssa? I just wanted to confirm that.
I'm gonna defer to you.
I think it's Alyssa, so I just
Thank you.
wanted to, yeah.
I appreciate the correction.
It looks like it, yeah.
So do we have a motion for appointing those two representatives to the homeless work group?
I move that we appoint Alyssa Severinsen as a representative of the Coquel Indian Tribe to the homeless work group, along with Representative Boomer Wright.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Alyssa, what's her last name?
Severson?
Yep, and Boomer Wright. My packet put down, my apologies. Any other discussion on this? I just want to thank Drew and Stephanie, who both serve on that homeless work group and have been doing so from the beginning. And I appreciate all the hard work and time that you put into that. Any other comments, considerations? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, it passes. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to have a public hearing to be held to consider approval of a proposed towing of a illegal vehicle ordinance. So Chris, Chapinar, could you please give us a brief synopsis of what this entails, and then I'll open up a public hearing on this.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everyone. Over the past month or so, staff has been working on the revision of Coos Bay's towing of illegal vehicle ordinance. It's Ordinance 10-40, so 1040. The revision expands the abandoned vehicle definition by including the term unlawful vehicle and defines what constitutes an unlawful or an abandoned vehicle. The revised ordinance also defines, it includes a definition for park and parking and recreational vehicles, as well as it provides clear guidance in accordance to Oregon's new law under House Bill 3124 on the legal requirements of municipalities and counties when property is seized and or towed. It defines the retention requirements of 30 days, allowing reasonable time and opportunity for the property to be retrieved by the owner. The revised ordinance has been reviewed by the Coos Bay City Attorney, and the ordinance has also been presented to the Coos Bay Homeless Work Group Committee and was voted unanimously in support of it. The budget implications haven't been fully identified, but it is understood that there will be a cost associated with the removal and storage of abandoned and unlawful vehicles when they need to be removed from city streets, parking lots, or city right-of-ways. And so what we're requesting, action recommended, is if it pleases the council, hold a public hearing and accept public comments on the proposed ordinance, followed by the enactment of towing of the legal vehicle ordinance 1040.
Okay, so council, before I open public comments, any questions for Chief Chapinar? No? Okay, at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing on the ordinance to consider approval of a proposed towing illegal vehicles. Are there any comments on this? No comments? All right. I think it's pretty straightforward. We have a camping ordinance that was adopted about a month ago, and this went into effect this week.
On
month,
the 3rd.
right?
On the 3rd. Last
And
Friday.
so this will tie in with that, helping us facilitate some problems or issues we might have. And so it was something that we needed to do, and so that's what this is intended to do. So, okay, I'll close the public hearings. At this time, council, how would you like to move forward?
I'll move that we approve ordinance 1040.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enact the towing of the illegal vehicle ordinance, word in 10.40. Melissa, will you do the roll call, please?
Ordinance amending ordinance number 241, previously amended ordinances number 410 and 520, providing for the towing of certain illegal vehicles and providing a penalty for non-governmental. Yay. Councilor Farmer.
Aye.
Councilor Kilmer.
Aye.
Councilor Matthews.
Aye.
And Councilor Miles.
Aye.
Councilor Stevens.
Aye.
Mayor Benetti.
Aye.
Ordinance number 546 has been duly introduced.
Thank you. Next item is consideration of approval of an intergovernmental agreement in support of a community block grant. Roger?
Yes, throughout the pandemic, funds have been made available to the state through community block grant program. As you may recall, the city participated in that for fixing up some homes. In addition, we are currently going through an application process to assist businesses that have been adversely affected. We're working with the county on that one, partnering with the county as well as subcontracting out the work or the administration of that work to CCG. In addition, there's another grant opportunity that's available through Business Oregon, and that is to assist those that have been unable to pay rent. This program allows for funding to offset 6 months worth of rent. Rent funds go directly to the property owner. There are a number of communities that are buying in on that. We are been asked to assist in that. Not that we would be administering that grant. That grant will actually be administered through Orchid. But the more cities that jump in, the higher the potential award might be, which benefits us all. So if it pleases the council, I'd ask for permission to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of North Bend and Orca. I'm aware that this same is being requested of the city of Coos and I believe the county as well.
Any questions of Roger on this?
Do we know if there's been any support officially from those other bodies that have this agreement? Or are we the first?
I don't know that. I know that there's support among staff from those organizations. And I suspect there will be. We actually don't have an impact on us as the city, nor would Coquille or the county. The impact's really on the city of North Bend. And they're willing to take that charge because we're taking the one on the business assistance. And I believe the county's doing a different one.
Okay.
Any other questions for Roger or comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move we authorize the city manager, yes? Oh, sorry. To sign the intergovernmental agreement with the City of North Bend and Oregon Coast Community Action, supporting the CDBG application and potential subsequent grant award for Coos Bay residents.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the city manager to go ahead and sign the intergovernmental agreement in support of the community development block grant. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item is consideration of approval to purchase the Jetter vacuum vehicle. I don't see Jennifer in here, so Jim, you're handling this?
I'll take this. Thank you. Good
Okay.
evening. A Jetter vacuum truck is utilized to do various maintenance activities throughout our water quality system. And we have 2 of them. The most important job they probably do for us is jetting and vacuuming our collection system. We try to get about 9,000 linear feet of pipe cleaned a month, if we can. Currently, like I said, we have 2, and the one that we're looking to replace is a 1995 model. It has nearly 9,000 hours on the main drive motor, which is equivalent to about 450,000 miles on it. And it has been out of service for several months. It has about $159,000 worth of repairs that it needs. And so rather than put that kind of money into an old vehicle, we're looking into replacing it. We were able to get a quote from a cooperative purchase agreement the city has with Sourcewell. This is a methodology of acquisition that we have through our contracting rules and the state of Oregon's contracting rules. And we only needed to get the one quote from them because they've done a competitive quote through the state, and were successful. The quoted amount for this new truck would be $437,588. If we're to buy it outright, we do have the option to lease, and we got some quotes from them for leasing on a 5-year. As an example, if we were to do a 5-year lease, we'd pay an extra $41,000 for the vehicle over the 5-year lease, and it would be a lease to own. We also were able to get a quote from U.S. Bank to finance the replacement, and it was a better interest rate, about 1.65%, and a difference of $22,000 over the life of a 5-year loan, which is what we would recommend.
Council may be wondering why we're looking at financing this. You may recall we recently took over the water quality division from a subcontractor who had been operating the system for the last 25 years. The extent of its unusefulness was unknown to us, but became very evident very quickly, and so thus this purchase wasn't planned. If we fund the entire amount, then that's going to take money away from our emergency or unplanned project. We're early in the year, and it doesn't seem to make sense to use up those dollars right now. I think we're inclined at this point in time to go with U.S. Bank. It's a good rate, and there's no prepayment penalty, at least not after 90 days, if I remember right.
We have to pay for first 13 months.
Okay.
So essentially one annual payment, and then, if we
There you
chose in the next year, we could prepay.
So we actually think that's the best use. It's the least amount of interest and best use of public dollars.
So Nicole, there's no penalty for paying it off early though, if we wanted to?
After the 13 months.
Okay, 13 months. Okay.
Principal, I think it's 103% of the principal, remaining principal.
Questions, anyone?
So this will get us through the first year and into another budget year.
Correct.
But even if we were still having somebody else operate the wastewater, we still would need to pay for this either way. It's just we were unaware of what kind of shape it was in.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's my question. We have one that's 16 years past its useful life and another one that's 10 years past its useful life. Was the city just not aware that they were that far gone?
We didn't know how bad it was at that time. I think we'll try and budget for another one in a future year. We're also balancing the fact that we're going to need to get a street sweeper fairly soon because it's at its useful end as well. All three of them are critical pieces of equipment that help us, and none of them are cheap.
But this one would come out of the wastewater fund, correct?
It would.
Right, okay.
I move to approve the purchase of a new jetter vacuum vehicle for the amount not to exceed $488,830.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of a jetter vacuum vehicle. Any other comments or questions? One question, Jim, what'd they do with the old one?
It will be put up on the auction block.
Okay, good.
Are-
Get something out of it.
Are the two jetter vacuum trucks the same
No, they're
brand?
not.
So you can't use parts from one?
No,
It's a good thought, though, Counselor.
yes.
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item is consideration of entering into a grant agreements to replace the floating docks at Empire and Eastside boat ramps. Jim?
I got this, sure. The Empire and Eastside boat ramps are both in need of replacement dock floats. At the February 16th meeting, Council approved Resolution 2105 authorizing submittal of a grant application to Oregon State Marine Board to fund these float replacements. As a result of the application, 2 grant funding sources were provided. $203,250 from Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and $67,750 from the Oregon State Marine Board. In addition to the Marine Board has also prepared plans and technical specifications, and regulatory permits and approvals have already been obtained. The Marine Board grant, there's a project timeline, which was Exhibit A. This timeline had a completion date of January 2022. However, based on coordination with the Marine Board, this timeline can be extended due to delays in materials and the unstable bidding market and the lack of availability of aluminum. Oregon State Marine Board recommends the city bid this project in the fall, and is anticipated once the bid is awarded, it will take 6 months for the materials to be on site. The Marine Board supports this updated schedule, and once the agreement is signed, we will provide, or they will provide an amendment that will change the project timeline. Staff is recommending entering these two agreements and bidding the project this fall.
Questions about the grants?
So Jim, just so I'm clear, so really if the projects would be complete in July of 2022, is that correct?
At least, yes.
Okay. Well, these are long overdue. I know I don't have much experience going to the east side boat ramp, but the Empire boat ramp is sorely lacking, so I think it's really important that we get this done.
So Jim, last year, the city replaced some out in Empire. Does this complete that project?
Yes. And we got that work that we did last year counts as our match towards the grant.
Okay. Anyone else? Comments on this? Questions?
Excited to see it go.
Can we get a motion from someone, please?
I'll make a motion to enter into the grant agreement from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife for $203,250 and a grant agreement from the Oregon State Marine Board for $67,750 for a total of $271,000 to replace dock floats at Empire and Eastside boat ramps.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into grant agreements to replace the floating docks at Empire and Eastside boat ramps. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. City manager report, Roger.
Yes, I wanted to commend Chief Chappinar and his staff. Just a little over a month ago, this council approved an ordinance, the camping ordinance for the city of Coos Bay. As you were aware, a month ago, a lot of work went into crafting that ordinance so that we could try to at least manage camping within the city. Since that time, staff at the police department has spent an enormous amount of time educating those who are camping in the city, as well as providing them information on resources. That ordinance took effect this last weekend, and if you drive around in some of the hot spots that where camping was occurring and the trash was accumulating, a lot of it's already been cleaned up. It'll still take some, but it's already a marked improvement. I suspect we'll see the same results in about a month when the towing ordinance goes into effect. But well done, Chief. Another topic dealing with the police department, as you know, over a year ago, Measure 110 changed the landscape of drug investigations in the state of Oregon. The city of Coos Bay has 2 drug detection dogs, and unfortunately the passage of that, where certain amounts were considered no longer a crime of certain illegal drugs, that pretty much limited what those dogs could do. They could still work in the schools to make sure we have safe, drug-free schools. They can be used by parole and probation. They can also be used when search warrants are obtained. But for the most day-to-day activities on patrol, they couldn't be used anymore because your dog can't tell you how much odor they're seeing. Currently, one of our dogs is assigned well, actually, it's the officer that's assigned to the schools, but the dog goes with him, so that's a great place for that dog. But the other one, we're left with trying to figure out what to do. Chief and his staff found a great alternative. We're going to go ahead and transfer the ownership of that dog over to Coos County Parole and Probation, where it can actually be used more on a daily basis to assist them in keeping their clients accountable. So I think that's a great use. Our other option would have been to find a new home in another state that has different rules. But appreciate the fact that, you know, we had a great asset and it can still be put to use to help our community. And I think lastly, on a totally different topic, sludge from wastewater treatment. You know, our treatment process produces at an end result, besides clean water, a sludge which has a beneficial use. And we have a sludge pond over in the east side. Staff has been trying to get our previous contractor for years to try and lower the limits of sludge in that pond and ground apply it to some of our local farmers. And staff in just the last less than 90 days has ground applied over 500 yards of sludge, which is about a year's worth of sludge buildup. And they hope to get more, but that's a tremendous accomplishment, and I appreciate Public Works staff making that a priority. And I'll conclude all with that note.
You'll conclude, okay. Thanks, Roger. Okay, council comments. Let's start with you, Drew.
Okay. So I've been talking for a while about mental health and contact with the legislature. Let's see, the week before last, on Friday, Boomer Wright participated in a listening session. Coos Bay PD was able to have representation there, Bay Area Hospital, Advanced Health, Coos Health and Wellness, and Columbia Care. Columbia Care is probably not a familiar name in there. They do a lot of mental health housing in our area. And they had the opportunity to talk about what they see in the community, the impacts of the shortage of capacity for mental health services in Oregon, and what might be done to remedy some of these things. Last Wednesday, I met with Boomer and we went over some of what we heard during that listening session to try and determine what might be viable during the short session. During the short session, the legislators are only allowed to propose 2 bills. One of the things that stood out the most, and Chief Chapner might correct me here if I've got something mistaken, but an example I believe that was given was the individuals that you see out in traffic, kind of a classic example right now. They're a danger to themselves, they're in the middle of traffic, so you're allowed to pick them up, right? You transport, or the PD transports them to the hospital. If I've understood right, under Oregon law, because that person is no longer in imminent danger, they are no longer in traffic, the hospital is not allowed to hold them. The police are not allowed to hold them. If they decline care at that point, regardless of their mental circumstances, they are free to go. And then you see them again in traffic until they're picked up, transported, and once again determined to now not be in danger and sent back out again. And did I get that right, Chief?
That's correct.
Alrighty. So that's a consequence of the way Oregon law works right now, and that was the most targeted issue I talked to Boomer about. He's going to talk to a lot more people, see what they come up with. But optimistically, the right to assist people who need assistance will be something that's pushed for in this next legislative session as an outcome of all this. That's what I got.
That's great, Drew. I know that this has been an issue that you've been dealing with and moving forward on. I'm glad you got Representative Wright to take the helm with this and at least try to move forward on it. And hopefully the legislature will do something about it. Carmen.
Well, I don't have a ton tonight, but I did want to welcome Councilor Stevens to our first council meeting. So we're happy to have you as part of the crew up here.
Thanks, Carmen.
And yeah, excited to work with a new member here. So I did want to say we're going to miss Phil Counselor Marlar, but I think we have a wonderful city council going on right now. Also, I just wanted to thank the city for all the hard work on the 4th Street project. Things are really looking nice. My business is pretty close to 4th Street, so it's really feeling quite nice to have that coming to an end here soon. So I just want to say great job to everybody involved on that. It looks really nice. And that's all I really have.
Thanks, Carmen. Lucinda?
I just wanted to congratulate Councilor Stevens and welcome her. That's all I have.
All right, thanks. Ron?
I will also welcome Councilor Stevens. I think it'd be a great addition to the council. And also, I want to thank the mayor and the council for putting their trust in me. Makes me question your judgment, but. And lastly, this Friday, September 10th, is Dutch Brothers Buck for Kids Day. And so every drink sold at any Coos Bay North Bend Dutch Brothers location, they will donate $1 to the Boys and Girls Club.
What day is that?
The 10th?
Friday.
This Friday.
This Friday.
All right.
And that's all I have.
All right.
Good to know.
Stephanie?
All right, I had a few things. If you hadn't heard already, the Coos Bay Downtown Association did have to cancel the Bay Area Fun Festival. It was a very tough decision for them. That's a financial loss to that organization, as much as it is to the vendors and the community. Of course, that had a trickle-down effect, which led to the cancellation of the cruise and show and shine, the parade, of course, and late last week, the Prefontaine 10K run. So disappointing for our community, but they look forward to a big celebration next year. Also, the Coos Bay Farmers Market is ongoing through the month of October on Wednesdays. They are a masked market now, and that is not because that was their choice. That is to be an essential grocery type situation. That is a mandate and a guideline that is handed down from the state. So we heard today from the market manager that most of the folks that attended that were masked and in compliance with that, and we really appreciate that. Also want to mention a thanks to our police department for all of the things that they do, but also the hard work they put into that towing ordinance. Usually when something comes to a committee of many minds, there's a lot of discussion on that. You could tell that the homework that went into that, the thought process that took place, and the getting that out to us, the information, resulted in really no discussion at all. It's a piece of the puzzle that we're working on to help the situation we have in our community, and I appreciate all of the work that they do and the information that they are gleaning from the communication with folks who are unhoused in our community. And also those folks that are sharing their stories, that helps us put it all together and make it work. So I appreciate you. Also wanted to mention that the brush pickup is starting this week, and Nicole and I were at a Rotary meeting today, and it was nice to hear folks that live in our community that say that is an invaluable service that we provide and our garbage service provides at no charge to our community. So appreciate that. And then it's worth mentioning that October 8th, the speeders will be coming into town. That's a big one because that really kicks off the Bus Jam Toy and Food Drive that happens in December, and I definitely every year say it, we're going to need it again this year. They actually call it the Toy Express, and I met up with them when they were here not too long ago. They are super excited about the events that will happen from Mapleton clear to Coos Bay. They'll be stopping October 8th, or October Saturday, I think that's the 8th of October, and they have they're going to decorate their speeders, so it should be a sight to see, and they're very excited. I talked to them this morning. So that's my list.
So good list. Thanks, Stephanie. Sarah?
Thanks. I want to just let everyone know that I am here to serve you. If you have questions, my cell phone number is on the website. I'm interested in hearing from citizens and serving this great city and continuing the great work that this council is doing. So happy to be here. Thank you for letting me serve in this role.
Thanks, Sarah. I also want to welcome Councilor Stevens to the council. Look forward to working with her. Jim or Roger, the Minges Park grant, where are we at on that process?
Well, Carolyn is working on this for us with Randy's departure, and we have a grant exploration still continuing, and we still have some work that's been completed on the grants by our grant consultant, and then we also have the plans that are complete. So I'm hoping at the beginning of the new calendar year that we'll have grant or processes that we can apply to.
Because if I understood correctly, last time it was held up because of COVID and the operational place where they were referring to these or going over the grants and issuing them. That's right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Also, I wanted to, 4th Street lights, Carmen brought up 4th Street. I don't know if you've noticed the LED lights have not been working. Some of us who walk early in the morning realize that, but anyway. So I inquired from the city manager, and he told me basically that there's a switch that this ODOT has control of, the box that allows that to come on. So hopefully they're going to be in town today or tomorrow. And they'll flip the switch that allows the lights to go on. Anyway, that'll help finalize that part of that. And Chief Chaplanar, is the camping ordinance now being enforced? I know we were giving a 30-day educational time frame. Is that up and we're actually enforcing this camping ordinance now?
We're enforcing it. It started on the 3rd. When we started our education process 30 days prior to that, we have started to enforce it in terms of posting the property that needs to be removed within the 72 hours. And I will say that so far, people have been cooperative. They're moving their stuff. They're working with our community resource officer, and we're gaining compliance.
Great, thank you. And the other thing I just want to mention for the counselors is that League of Oregon Cities Conference has been canceled. I don't know if you were aware of that, but that came out from Jackie this afternoon to us. Anyway, that's the end of my comments this evening. Did anyone else want to make a comment at the council meeting? We're going to have an urban renewal meeting following this. No? Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the city council meeting, and we will go into the urban renewal meeting, which Stephanie will take over and run.
All right, I will go ahead and call the Urban Renewal Agency meeting to order on this day. And our first item on the agenda is public comments. Does anyone have any comments they would like to make for items that are not on the agenda? All right, then we'll move to the consent calendar. And how does the agency wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll do the consideration of approval of improvement program grant request for 657 Newmark Avenue, and that is in the Empire District. And Carolyn, are you taking this one?
Yes, I am, ma'am. Thank you. As the commission, or as the council may recall, you had previously reviewed an application for the creation of a mural at 657 Newmark, and had a number of questions before you wanted to finalize your review. You had inquired back on August 24th as to potential for funding more than the requested $4,000. You also made comment that the architectural review permit hadn't yet been approved, but that would need to be a condition if you were going to move forward with action to approve the project. And you also expressed a few concerns about the the Native American community being able to be represented on the mural. Since that meeting, there's been communication with this is Ms. Joanne Moss regarding the mural. I believe that before you there is an exhibit that you can see identifying some images related to the Native American heritage in this area. Roger, I believe, has a letter that he received that I'd ask him to share with you. I wasn't able to get it, but it really goes over a bit of the request from one of the tribes. So with that, I'd like to defer to him to share that information.
Actually, you may want to ask Joanne to come up first.
Joanne Moss, who is the applicant, is here. Do you have anything that you wanted to present to the agency? If so, just please come to the microphone.
Hey, Caroline, it's nice to put a face to the name.
Hello.
We had two concerns when Caroline contacted me because we've been working with Simon White Owl, who is our artist here. Thank you for hearing us, by the way, or considering this. Our concerns were that it rains a little bit here. So we have an element of time that we need to work within to get this mural accomplished. And the second concern is Simon has other jobs, paying jobs that he needs to reschedule because of the time frame and the time element with our mural. So the CCE, Community Coalition of Empire, is working with Star of Hope to fund this, and we would hopefully have the city do a matching grant with it. The total cost is $8,000. Simon has been in contact with the Klutzi tribes, and we have a letter that I believe Roger has approving the change to the mural. And they were concerned about just having Native Americans in their native garb, and they were concerned that it looked too much like a timeline. So they wanted us to add a canoe and different things in there, which we did do. And I don't know what else I could add to that, but it's going to rain soon, folks. So we're concerned about that.
Time is of the essence.
Thank you.
Can I
Thank you,
ask
Joanne.
a question on that, Joanne?
Joanne.
So I actually reached out to Jesse Beers from the Confederated Tribes of the Coos, Siouxsie Indians, and talked to him today. And I reached out to Bridget Wheeler, who is the Cultural and Education Director for the Coquille Indian Tribe. First, before I begin with that, I want to thank you. I'm so excited that there is a tribal representation. It's very thoughtful, so I'm really excited about that. You know, this issue is near and dear to my heart. So in talking to Jesse and talking to Bridget, they loved the canoe. And I think Jesse had actually added that with the removal of the flag. Right. I noticed on the second depiction of the art, the plank house is gone. And that saddened me because the plank houses are used today, right, for ceremonial purposes. So I wasn't sure if, I know that there's a lighthouse there now instead of a plank house, and in talking to Jesse and in talking to Bridget from both tribes, they loved the canoe and they loved the plank house. Okay, so I just wasn't sure if that was an option, and I think if I understood the art, it seemed as if it was basically going from present to past, right? And I think that was maybe some of the concerns, so from left to right. And so there was, in the original art piece, there was a native person in regalia. And I think, as I understood it from Jesse and I understood it from Bridget, is that how do I say this? I actually wrote this down. So it implied that native people are a thing of the past. And they're not. I think we all know that they're here in the culture today. And so that's why I think there was this concern of
how the pictures, you know, the timeline of pictures in terms of history. So I don't know if you can kind of change. Okay, so you've done that, so I'm thrilled. So what I've heard is yes on a canoe, yes on a plank house. I'm thrilled, so those
Just to
were.
let you know, the canoe is not going to overshadow the letters, the way
No,
that
no,
it
no,
was
just the
presented on there.
The
It's
canoe's
going to
down on
be,
the bottom,
Yep.
yeah.
it's going to be smaller, and it's going to be more to the right, so it's not even touching the letters.
Okay, that's great. And the plank
Yeah.
house will be represented in one of the,
Right.
okay, that's wonderful. I'm so thrilled.
We didn't, when we put this design together, well, I didn't draw it.
Right.
I can't draw. But when we put this design together, we didn't think of it in terms of a timeline.
Right.
So it was good that that was pointed out to us.
No, I thought Bridget and Jesse's comments were incredibly thoughtful, and I'm not the expert on this, but again, I'm so thankful for you representing the entire community, and I can't wait to see it finished, so.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's just the start.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
If I can just add a comment to that, I have the lovely job of monitoring social media with my job, and I can't tell you how excited people are for that mural. It is stunning, and it's striking, the artwork that's already been done. And even folks that maybe haven't been as supportive in the past said that is going to be a huge improvement to the community and something that's really the area of Empire can be proud of. And so I just wanted to pass that along. Are there any other comments or questions?
Well, I think I made my support of this project clear at the work session. I think it's a great addition to the Empire District. The Empire District's one of the council goals this year, and I said then that I felt like we should fund it at 100%. I did listen to the comments from the other board members, and I would like us to come to a compromise and offer them 75% of the project cost.
Well, I would,
I support
Make that an
Councilor Miles
motion?
on that.
Or,
No, I support Councilor Miles. The one thing I would say is, I know we didn't follow, I don't think, all of the appropriate timelines, so I wouldn't want it to always reward people for not following proper protocol, but I think this is, I mean, what they've done is exceptional, and I think funding it to the, at 75% is the right thing to do.
yeah, and I think it was mentioned about the time frame because of the weather, and I think that's, you went to this far, and then so, and some of the comments I've heard that they think it's wonderful and they want to see more of this done. And so hopefully the extra 25% that the city, if we agree and pass that, will allow maybe this entity or somebody else to pick up the ball and do another one.
Counselor Stevens?
Say one more thing. I'd appreciate it. And this, I really appreciate any help. We appreciate any help. As you know, CCE is a very skinny little group, and we're trying our hardest to put a dent in the negative perception of the Empire District. So we are trying really hard with that. In that, we have lost funding for the last 2 years also. We do the Clanbury Glass Art Fest, and we have not been able to do that. And that's our primary funding activity. But that wasn't what I wanted to say. I wanted to say I've been through the grant process with the city of Coos Bay, and I've been, as a business owner and a building owner, through the matching grant process in North Bend. And they are two totally different animals. Just to let you know, it was more streamlined to go through the North Bend process than it has been for the Coos Bay process. So you may want to look at, I'm not judging, I'm just letting you know my experiences.
Joanne,
No,
you
it's
shouldn't
fine.
say that, but before we're about to give you money,
No.
right?
Hey, Lucinda. I'm just saying it was a lot easier for me to go through the other one.
All
So
right.
that might be a concern, because there were times when I was like, okay, I'm giving up. That's it. I'm done.
Now, Roger?
I would love
Yeah.
for you to share that with the liaison so that he can bring that back maybe to a work session.
Roger, I believe that's because of area that it's located in?
Yes, it's not an apples to apples comparison, because it's different in Empire than it is downtown. And that's because Empire is a design review district that's established by ordinance, and then when established by ordinance and it's a land use, you have to go through a very prescribed process as required by the state of Oregon. So it is a different process, and I would tell you that they don't have land use approval yet. I suspect they will. But someone really could appeal the staff's decision, and it'll land back, appeal could land back to the council. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. And sometimes, I'll be honest, when requesting free money, there are hoops you have to jump through.
So Roger, if I remember when that was enacted, and that, because when we did the urban renewal years ago, a councilor was very adamant about having some design standards put in. So is there any way to reverse that or change it?
There is. Actually, the council's considered it a couple other times to reverse that, and we hired a well-known land use professional in Oregon that gave the council a summary of what he thought the benefits of a design review district were. And basically, it's beneficial if you have an area that has strong growth in it and you want that to look in a certain manner. A design review district is great. If you have an area that's underperforming, putting design standards in can actually inhibit growth. And it was his recommendation that at that time that the council remove it
For the Empire.
for the Empire District.
It was, to remove it, it was recommended?
Yeah.
And
yes.
nothing happened?
It failed on a split vote.
Okay. So maybe, I think Councilor Kilmer mentioned maybe bringing this back to a work session.
We could do that.
Oh, I'm speaking as one.
Yeah, you're speaking
Okay.
as one, Mr. Mayor. Mhm.
I agree with Councilor Kilmer.
Well, I remember
Chairman
this,
Kilmer.
I remember this coming up at a work session or something, we talked about that. And
Yep.
we really want to foster some improvements in that area. So it's probably good to bring this back. And maybe to hear from the,
It just makes sense because we're not involved with all the land use requirements and all that. All we see is frustration.
Yeah.
So if there's some way to streamline it to minimize that, might be good.
So that is not the case with the downtown urban renewal. So that, you're just a little more restricted out in Empire, and if we're able to resolve this, it might make it better and faster. It would, I'm not gonna use, it would, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm only one, we'll see what happens. Okay.
okay, does anyone else have any comments on the action item we have before us regarding the mural? Do we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion to authorize a grant in the amount of $6,000 to the applicant.
That's 75%. Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second to authorize $6,000, 75% of the project estimate. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, there will still be some things that have to take place, or is this,
Well, you still have to get the land use approval, which I suspect will be end of next week. And then once the project's done and completed, we can make the reimbursement.
right? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Yep, it's great.
All right, our next item is consideration of approval of improvement program grant request for 299 Bayshore Drive. Is that you as well, Carolyn?
Yes, ma'am. The board looked at this at your last, I think a meeting or two ago, and you had comments about the Curtis Avenue and Bayshore Avenue elevations. The proposal has been revised to include the originally proposed awning on Curtis Avenue at 28 inches high and 37 feet long, but a revision to the awning on Bayshore Avenue to go to 27 feet long instead of the 22.5 foot length that you took a look at on August 17th. The awnings would be 8 feet above the sidewalk, which complies with all our right-of-way requirements for safe passage under awnings. You have some new information in your packet that identifies what this would look like. And I believe that the applicant or their representative is here to share their thoughts on this. We're recommending that you waive the 3-bid requirement and authorize 50% of the project cost. The total project cost would include the bid of $11,226 and a permit estimate of $474.38.
Okay. And I believe we have a representative from Art Signs representing the applicant. Do you have anything you'd like to add? No? Do you have questions?
Only with questions.
So I guess I was confused when we talked about this before. Is the awning going under this green or blue roof, whatever, soffit?
Would it be possible to have you come to the microphone? Sorry. So that our people online can hear as well.
So it's going to go underneath the soffit of the building, and we're going to call it an accent awning. It's just going to be decorative. It's just going to go down straight, just bring that awning down lower. There's no way we could do the whole sides of those streets, new awning, just the way the building's built and the roof line. So we're just calling this an accent awning. Does that make sense?
I understand now.
So it's 28 inches,
Deep, yep, tall.
okay. So
From the soffit down.
okay, so it'll go underneath that soffit, and, okay, gotcha. Okay,
I see.
yeah.
So it should line up with the roof line, with Curtis Avenue there, pretty close.
Okay,
It's set back from the edge because there's a lot of stuff in the way, trim, and there's an access door behind the parapet wall, gutters, downspouts, and so it's probably in, I'm guessing, 6 inches from outside the roof.
okay,
Set back.
all right.
Are there any other questions for the representatives? There? All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, how would the agency like to proceed on this request? Do we have a motion? Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion to waive the 3-bid improvement program grant requirement and authorize the requested $5,850.19, 50% of the project cost based on the total project cost of $11,700.38. The total project cost includes a bid of $11,226 and a permit estimate cost of $474.38.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to waive the 3-bid improvement program grant requirement and authorize the requested $5,850.19, which is 50% of the project cost. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Thanks for coming down. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Besides at the farmer's market, and Tracy all over the town.
Yeah. All right, is there any other business to come before the Urban Renewal Agency? Then we are adjourned.
1 minute under an hour.
Hey.
Just like the old days.